I was born and raised in Kansas. I've been out of Ohio, but I've not lived out of Ohio, and never really moved. I never really thought about moving away. All my family is here. Everything I know is here. So I have 3 autistic kids. My oldest is 26. Gavin, then there's Elliot, who's 20, just turned 20. Then Emmett is going to be 18. And I use what I've learned over the last 26 years, often the hard way, to help educate other parents who are going through something similar, to raise awareness, educate, and try and provide for people what wasn't provided for me when I was going through this. Well, that's me. That's Gavin. That's Elliot, and that is Emmett. So my oldest, he developed typically. He was very advanced speech, everything, until he was about 4 years old. And he went to bed, and he woke up, and he was like a different person. He experienced this massive global regression. And so it ultimately, to me, experiencing that was like losing a kid that I still had. I was grieving the loss. When my kids were younger, it was the whole world was built around therapy appointments and doctor's appointments, and it was exhausting and overwhelming. And I would get up every day, and it was a chore just to get socks on one of my kids and get them off to school. It was a full-time job times 3. If you aren't living that firsthand, you can't possibly understand, no matter how empathetic you are. We have to make choices between groceries and medication. We have to make choices between car payments and speech therapy, and the weight that carries, I don't really have the words to say just how heavy that is. My job was to provide for my family. I was a fire medic for a long time. I got hurt, but I continued to work because I wanted to provide insurance and do all the things that I needed to do to raise my family. And when my kids started to get diagnosed with autism, and there started to be challenges at home that were more than what one person could handle, I had to make a choice, and I had to choose to try and find something to do from home so that I could be a caregiver full-time. And that means there's no income, right? That means that you rely on things like SNAP benefits or Medicaid, funding through the Board of DD, grants and things like that. The way things currently are, it sounds like budget cuts. It sounds like they're just going to save money here and there, but what they're doing is they're defunding critical infrastructure that we have in Ohio. The Board of DD, special education funding. Seeing the impact that has on people in real life is a whole different thing, and it's going to be devastating for parents who are already struggling. I think a lot of parents would say this. I don't think that I ever really appreciated the importance of healthcare or access to quality healthcare until my oldest regressed and went through all of the health issues that he had. I didn't realize how expensive and how inaccessible the things that I needed for my son were until insurance became an issue, until he got a diagnosis that was excluded from coverage back then. You can't even imagine the cost. He was on so many medications and so many therapies. His medications alone back then were tens of thousands of dollars a month. It's absolutely vital. It's what can make or break families. And it's not a bargaining chip or a line on a ledger. This is real life stuff for real people. And if he hadn't qualified for SSI and got on Medicaid, there would be no way that I could cover that. I would have to high six figures, easy, to be able to offset that or to make sure that he has the things that he needs just to have the same access that everyone else does. The real world impact on things it's exhausting, and it's why a lot of times parents give up. I would have times where claims would be denied, right? And you'd have to battle it. Every time the prescription would get renewed, you'd have to go through the same process. And it's just, I haven't slept in days My kids are stressed out and overwhelmed, and I got bills mounting, I got a house that's falling apart. And how does Jon Husted vote down lowering healthcare rates 9 times? Like, you make the same mistake 9 times. Just so cruel to people who are doing the best that they can in a system that's not designed to really help them.
I remember talking to one young lady who said, well, I don't really know how money works at a grocery store, because she grew up and has lived all of her adult life using SNAP cards to buy groceries. And so you literally have to teach people how to budget. The buzzword today, let's face it, it's affordability, right? And people living in poverty are just not very, experienced at navigating the real world, right? I remember talking to one.
Like, do you understand, like, the real world? These families are not lazy. They're not inexperienced. They're not, trying to live off the system. I mean, there's no benefit. The sacrifice that you make on that, you do it willingly, and I would do it a million times over, because you do whatever you can for your kids. Having those benefits stripped away or threatened for political gain is, it's so hard to even, I get really emotional with this, and I get very angry with this, and it's hard to kind of like, but they're playing with people's lives. When people say things like, families out there who are struggling, or in my situation, whatever, just don't know how to navigate real life. Real life is not having things just given to you, right? I mean, real life is rising to the occasion. When you get a diagnosis for one of your kids, or one of your kids has a disability, you rise up and you meet that demand, no matter what it takes. And if that means you have to quit your job or whatever, you do that. And the system is not set up to support families like ours. If you can sit there and say that families like mine don't know what it's like to live in real life, we're living in very different realities. I just want them to be happy and healthy. I want them to be safe. I want them to be loved. I want them to be seen and appreciated for the amazing humans that they are. I want them to have a world where we embrace differences, right? It makes us stronger, not that it should separate us. I want someone who sees us and cares about us and doesn't just say it. They prove it with their action. What we have now does not represent what we need. I'm voting for Sherrod Brown because we need people building bridges. He has a track record of that, right? And someone who's willing to work across the aisle if it's what needs to be done, right? I think that we need more Sherrod Browns. He's gonna show up and he's gonna make it happen. And right now, I don't know how we survive without it.